Hello learners, welcome to the online course on gender sensitization, society, culture and change. Today's discussion will be on the topic marriage, and this particular topic is BGSC Block 2 Unit 6. So let me start with what marriage is. Marriage is traditionally considered to be a socially, legally recognized relationship between an adult male and female. Marriage brings with it certain rights and obligations. Let me repeat the sentence. It is a socially, legally recognized relationship between an adult male and female. And marriage brings with it certain rights and obligations. According to Anthony Giddens, marriage can be defined as a socially acknowledged and approved sexual union between two adult individuals. And when I say two adult individuals, according to the Indian society, in our Indian society, it is between a male and a female. And when two people marry, they become kin to one another. Kin in terms of the wife's relatives become the kin of the husband, and the husband's relatives become the kin of the wife. The marriage bond also connects together a wider range of people. Parents, brothers, sisters, and other blood relatives became relatives of the partner through marriage. So this is what we call by kin. The parents of the spouses, the brothers of the spouses, sisters, and other blood relatives become the relatives, the kin of the partner through marriage. And when we talk about marriage in Indian society, heteronormative patriarchal social order prevalent in all societies necessitates the two partners in marriage to be from opposite gender. Marriage is a social or binding legal defining the union of a man and a woman living together in a sexual relationship with the expectation of producing offspring. This relationship is defined and sanctioned by tradition and law. So traditionally, marriage involves a man, a woman and the children. One of the important purposes of marriage is believed to be for biological reproduction. So this is one of the important expectation of married people, that they should produce children, and one of the responsibility of people who get married is for biological reproduction. In India, same-sex love and marriage is not allowed, is tabooed and banned both by society and the law. Not only in India, but in a lot of societies, same-sex love and marriage is not allowed and banned by society and the law. Some societies may permit, but in India it is completely not allowed, both by the society and the law. In certain societies, as times changes, in certain societies, couples reproduce even without entering into marriage, and they may or may not choose to marry. So you have in a lot of societies where people do not get married, but they reproduce even without entering into marriage. They do not legally get married, and there are couples who enter marriage but choose to be childless or of adoption rather than have their own biological children. So as times are changing, in a lot of societies today, we find that people may not get married to produce children, and they may also enter into marriage not because for reproducing children, but they may choose not to have their own biological children, or they may opt to be childless, or they may opt for adoption. So times are changing. Further, as same-sex partners are entering into marriage, such couples may go for adoption, medical inception, and other scientific and legal methods to include children in their family. When you have same-sex partners entering into marriage, they may opt for other procedure like adoption, medical inception, or they may go for surrogacy and so on. So this is another way another scientific and legal methods to include children in the family, because they enter into same-sex partnership, or they enter into marriage because they are of the same sex, so they may not be able to biologically reproduce children. They may not be able to have biological children on their own, so they may opt for what is called adoption or medical inception, or they may go for what is called surrogacy. Now, after talking about what marriage is, where I mentioned and I discussed what marriage is, I said marriage is a union between a man and a woman. And in a lot of societies, same-sex marriage is permitted, but in India, it is not allowed. It is completely banned in the society. So let me move on to forms of marriage after discussing what marriage is. There are various forms of marriage. One of the most traditional form of marriage, one of the most accepted forms of marriage in society today is what is called monogamy. What is monogamy? Monogamy refers to the marriage of one man with one woman. You have one man married to one woman, which is called mono, that is one or single, which refers to the marriage of one man with one woman. And this is the most common form of marriage found across modern contemporary societies. So this is meant by monogamy. We are now discussing what is polygamy. Polygamy is the term for plural marriage, and this particular marriage can be subdivided into polyandry, where there is a union of one woman with several men. And then you have what is called polygyny, which is another form of polygamy or plural marriage. This is the union of one man with several women. In some societies, polyandry as well as polygyny is practiced. Then we have another form of marriage, which is also another form of a plural marriage, which is called group marriage. What is group marriage? Group marriage involves several men living with several women. You have several men living with several women. So when you talk about group marriage, this particular marriage is different from what is your polyandry or your polygyny. Let me get into what is the concept of polygamy and polygyny and polyandry is all about. When we say group marriage, it is several men living with several women. But when you have what is called polyandry, polyandry is where one woman live with several men, and polygyny is where one man live with several women. So this is different from group marriage, because group marriage involves several men living with several women. And when we talk about polyandry, group marriage, or your plural marriage, we find that polygyny is more common than polyandry, which means that the marriage of one man with several women is more common than polyandry, which is the marriage of one woman with several men. So these are the various forms of marriage. That is your monogamy. Then you have what is called your polyandry, which can be subdivided into what is called polyandry, polygyny, then group marriage. Then in some societies, another form of marriage is practiced, which is called levirate. Levirate is where a man marries his deceased brother's widow, and sororate is where a man marries his deceased wife's sister. This form of marriage is practiced so that lineage or descendants or inheritance would be in the same family. So in some societies, this form of marriage is practiced, which is levirate and as well as sororate. Then after talking about levirate and sororate, let me move on to another form of marriage, which is called hypergamous marriage. Marriage between individuals belonging to different castes is called hypergamous marriage, and if the woman belongs to a lower caste and the man is of a higher caste, this is called hypergamous marriage. When you have marriage of a higher caste woman to a lower caste man, this is called hypergamy. So hyper is on the other hand when a woman of a lower caste gets married to a man of a higher caste. Then what is called hypogamy? Hypogamy is when the marriage of a higher caste woman takes place to a lower caste man, which is called hypogamy. In Indian society, hypergamous marriage is relatively easily acceptable as compared to hypergamous marriages, which means that in Indian society, when you have a woman of a lower caste getting married to a man of a higher caste, it is relatively easily acceptable as compared to hypergamous marriages. But on the other hand, when you have hypogamous marriages taking place, it often leads to violence against the caste group to which the man belongs by the upper caste group to which the woman belongs. Out here, you may be aware. If you are not aware, let me give you a brief example of what is called by violence against the caste group to which the man belongs by the upper caste group to which the woman belongs. At times you may have heard where there is honor killing. Honor killing is usually in most cases where a woman of a higher caste gets married to a man of a lower caste. So there is violence against the caste group of the woman against the caste group of the man, because here in hypergamous marriages, when a woman of a higher caste gets married to a man of a lower caste, violence takes place, honor killings takes place in most cases. So this is not easily acceptable when you compare it to hypergamous marriage, where a woman of a lower caste gets married to a man of a higher caste. Then we have exogamy, which is a marriage which entails that individual marry outside their own group. Exogamy is when exogamy means you get married to someone of outside your own group, outside your own caste group. So this is exogamy. And endogamy on the other hand would be when you get married to the person of the same caste group. So you have what is exogamy, you get married to someone outside of your caste group, outside of your group. Endogamy on the other hand is when you get married to someone within your own caste group, within your own group. So that is called endogamy. So with this we have talked about the various what marriage is, the various forms of marriage, where I have discussed what we have in the form of monogamy. We talked about polyandry, we talked about within polyandry, we talked about polygyny, we talked about polygamy, then we talked about group marriages, we talked about the concept of what is levirate, sororate, and also what endogamy and exogamy is. So after talking about the various forms of marriage, let me discuss the theories of marriage. What is the functionalist theory of marriage? Functionalist theory of marriage, what they say is women are socialized into acceptance of feminine domestic roles in marriage, which makes them good and respectable wives. So functionalists say that with regard to marriage, women are to do their domestic roles in marriage, which makes them good and respectable wives. So what is this domestic roles in marriage? Domestic roles in marriage would be to cook food for the family, to take care of the children, and also to reproduce children. On the other hand, the men would go out to earn livelihood for the family. So this is what is meant by functionalist theory of marriage, where you have the domestic roles in marriage, which makes women into good and respectable wives. Women are socialized into the domestic roles in marriage, and on the other hand, men are the ones who would go out to earn livelihood for the family. Then Marxist feminists, on the other hand, they argue that monogamous marriage, that is a marriage between a man and a woman, is a social institution that has nothing to do with love and everything to do with private property. Thus, according to Marxist feminists, marriage benefits the capitalist class, and women's subordination within marriage can be overcome only by overthrowing. So what Marxist feminist says is monogamy, which is the marriage between a man and a woman, is nothing but which has to do with what is called women's subordination, and it has nothing to do with love but subordination of women. So and it also according to them benefits the capitalist class, so they say that capitalism should be overthrown. On the other hand, what do radical feminists say about marriage? For radical feminists, marriage is a tool of patriarchy which through its heterosexual norms keeps women subordinated. Patriarchy is the first form of social exploitation. In this system of patriarchy, men are a group which hold power over women. So this is what radical feminist talks about with regard to marriage. Marriage, they say, is a tool of patriarchy. Patriarchy, which means that men control women, and they say that it is a tool, marriage is a tool through which women are subordinated, and it is men who control and hold power women. So radical feminists say that marriage is just a tool of patriarchy, and it is a tool where women are subordinated, women are socially exploited. So this is what the radical feminists say when they talk about marriage. Then what do the socialist feminists say about marriage? We have discussed Marxist feminists. Then we have discussed what functionalists say about marriage. What social feminists say about marriage is they argue that in order to understand subordination of women within marriage and family, it is important to understand the organization of both production as well as reproduction. Let me repeat, socialist feminists argue that in order to understand subordination of women within marriage and family, it is important to understand the organization of both production as well as reproduction. And they agree with Marxist feminism idea that confinement of women to the domestic sphere of housework and motherhood serves the economic interests of capitalism. So these are the various theory of marriage. We have the functionalist theory of marriage, who say that it is in marriage you have what is called women doing their domestic roles, which makes them respectable wives as well as good wives. Then you have a Marxist feminist take on marriage, saying that marriage is a tool of patriarchy. It is a tool where men control women, and it is a tool of exploitation by over men, and also it is a tool where men control over women. And on the other hand, you have the socialist feminists who also argue with, they also agree with Marxist feminist idea that confinement of women to the domestic sphere of housework and motherhood serves the economic interests of capitalism. So Marxist feminism idea is also agreed upon by the socialist feminism, who say that because of this a patriarchal order of men controlling women, men exploiting women, it serves the purpose of the capitalists, because women would look after the housework and looking after the children while men go out to earn, and also when men go out to work in order to gain profits. So this is what the Marxist feminism discuss with regard to what marriage is all about. Then we have another perspective on marriage, which is queer perspectives on marriage. The queer perspectives on marriage can be broadly divided into two kinds. You have one group which argues in favor of extending marriage rights to the queers. Such demands challenge heteronormativity of marriage. For this group, it is a matter of being granted equal rights as citizens, and the benefits that comes with marriage, which is denied to them by making queer unions illegal. So this is what the queer perspectives on marriage is all about. They say that one group of queer, they say that one should extend marriage rights to the queers. When we talk about the queers, these are the LGBTQ community, that is the lay, the bisexual, the transgender, the lesbians. So what they say is you should extend marriage rights to them. And they challenge the heteronormativity of marriage, which is the accepted societal norms of a marriage between a man and a woman. So they challenge this very concept of heteronormativity, and they say that marriage should be extended to them. Then we have what is another perspective, which is the other group. They say and challenges heteronormativity in marriage, and they do not see extending right to marriage for the queers as a solution. They reject marriage as an institution. So you have two different groups of perspectives with the queers regards to marriage. One group say that you should extend marriage rights to them, just as you extend marriage rights to the socially accepted norms of marriage between a man and a wife, man and a woman. This group says that one group says that you should extend marital rights to them. But on the other hand, another group say that marriage as an institution should be completely rejected. They do not see extending right to marriage to the queers as a solution. They completely reject marriage as an institution. So you have these two groups with regard to the queers' perspectives on marriage. When we talk about marriage, it is also important to talk about divorce, because we see that in many societies, divorce has become an accepted part of marriage. You have divorce taking place in a lot of societies today. So when we talk of marriage, it is also important to talk about divorce. And divorce is when a man and a woman, when they go for divorce, it means that they are separated. They do not, they no longer live as husband and wife. And all legal systems today grant the right to divorce to both women and men in marriage. And divorce laws have become simpler with granting of mutual consent divorces. So when a man and a woman, they feel that they can no longer live together as husband and wife, they go for divorce. And in a lot of societies today, we have divorce becoming an accepted part of marriage. It has become an accepted part of the end of marriage, you can say. And All legal systems today grant the right to divorce to both women and men in marriage. And when we talk about divorce, though divorce status is considered as normal in many societies, in India it is still difficult to offer divorce, especially for women. Though we have learned to accept marriage as divorce as the end of marriage. However, in our society, in Indian society today, divorce status is still difficult for women. Women who goes for divorce find it difficult to maintain the status before they had during their marriage. So grounds for divorce in India mainly include adultery, desertion, cruelty, impotency, chronic diseases, and conversion into another religion. So there are various grounds for divorce, and the grounds for divorce mainly include adultery committed by one partner, one spouse, or both the spouses, desertion, cruelty, impotency, chronic diseases, and conversion into another religion. Then when we talk about violence in marriage takes place in the form of early marriage, wife battering, and marital rape. So these are the various aspects of marriage that we have talked about. Thank you.